Yeah, hello everyone, and just waiting a few seconds until Ffion join us. Doing great. And there you go.
Yay!
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. How's Dublin? How's everything over there?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, lockdown, but it's okay.
Okay, awesome. So let me start by introducing my name is Fadi. I'm the owner of BGship Roots platform. It's a competition platform in Asia. And we are really very honored to have you with us today. So I will be your the host for today, and I'm very happy to have you. So Ffion Davies, all of a sudden your name starts sparking everywhere. You are the first IBJJF, like you won first place in IBJJF European Open for the year 2019 and 20, first place in Nogi as well in the year 2018. And surprisingly, like really, when I just turned on to check the black belts, female black belts list ranking, you rank number 7 out of 13 Brazilian women. Like the exact fancy. So yep. So yeah, exactly. You all of a sudden start winning all those tournaments. So I'm really happy to have you with us today. That's one. Two, I would like to ask you, let's start with the current situation. How's the situation now in Dublin, and how's the COVID-19? How's your training and lifestyle over there?
Yeah, we're locked down like really strict until May 5th, I think it is, and then they're going to start like easing restrictions, but like they said not to expect much change. So
Okay.
so I think it's
For
going to
how
be there
long?
quite a while.
How long they've been applying it now? Like how many days until now?
We locked down on March 15th. So
Oh,
we locked down pretty early, luckily, compared because I'm in Ireland, not the UK. I think a lot of people
okay.
think I'm in the UK.
Mm-mm.
And it's very different situations. So we locked down pretty early, luckily. Whereas the UK like skyrocketed now, we've kind of stayed pretty low with numbers.
Exactly.
Well, not low, but compared to some places, luckily.
Okay. How's now your lifestyle like? Like, is it bothering you by now? Like since March until now, it's a quite long time. Like, does it bother you?
Yes and no. It's weird. Like at the start, I was super down. I was really sad because I had all these plans this year, and I was really like holding on to them strongly, like a lot of people. And I was obviously really concerned about my livelihood at saunas. So
Okay.
that's a
Yeah.
public gathering. My job is public gatherings, which is going
Exactly.
out sweating on people. So not the
Yeah. Yeah.
best for the
Exactly.
situation. So I was really concerned about money and things like that. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people are in that position. And obviously, of course, I wanted to do jiu-jitsu all the time. I love jiu-jitsu, and I haven't had a break from it since I've started. I don't think I've had a proper break. I've not been injured, touch wood, properly anyway, to a point
Yeah.
where like I can't train for months and months, just like a few weeks here and there. But I can train with my boyfriend. He trains too, and we have mats. So I basically bought mats straight away, and I'm a lot more happy now. And I'm trying new exercise like running and yoga. So life is not
Okay.
that bad.
So exactly. So you're still surviving, let's say. So you found a way. So luckily you have your boyfriend who trains BJJ as well, and so you're just keep rolling at home, right? Hopefully
Yeah,
he's the same
exactly.
weight division. Otherwise, it's not.
No, he's like 70 something, so it's not too bad. It's not like a huge. He's not like
Exactly.
100 kilos, so it's pretty
Exactly.
good. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So my very first question that is really would like to know, like, what's your martial art journey? I knew that you started doing like judo earlier, and then somehow you transformed into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and taking by your age, it was a very short trip probably. So walk us through like how everything started.
Yeah, so I started judo really young. My parents did it first. They're both mental health nurses, so they had to learn some sort of way of defending themselves, and judo was like the option given to them. I don't know if you really should be throwing people with mental health problems on the floor, but you know,
yeah, right.
around. It's something. So they got my brother started actually, and I just kept like going on the mat, and I wasn't really allowed because like I was too young. And
how old at that time you were?
I was like
how
5.
old were you?
I was like, can I go on? And I was just doing forward rolls on the side. And I think it's originally more for him. And then when I was a bit older, I started, and I loved it. He liked rugby, so he went with that. And I got into judo massively, loved it, competed like every weekend for like a really long time. And then I just kind of got burnt out. I think I got to 15, and I think this is a thing a lot of teenagers, it happens to a lot of teenagers, I think, especially teenage girls. I didn't have many like close friends in school, and like the girls I was friends with, they would all like meet up on the weekends, and I was just never free. And like I was never free in the evenings or the weekends, and then I just wasn't really getting close to them, and I just felt really sad. And like obviously boys would like make comments about my arms, and not in a really nasty way, but I had large muscly arms at 15. And people would
and you still do probably.
I still do, but now I like them, whereas at the time I hated them. So I'd try and wear long sleeve, and if I didn't, it's just like something you can't really hide them too much. And I'd get challenged to arm wrestles, which was soul destroying for a teenage girl. Whereas now I'd take the challenge on. Anyway, so I ended up quitting, and I quit judo at 15, and I was saying, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. I've done it forever. I don't even know what I like. I don't even know if I even like it. I was just so used. It's just what I did. It's just like my identity. And
oh my God, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I ended up quitting, and then I put on a lot of weight really fast. Like in a year. I think I must have been about 70 something kilos, and I'm 5'3", so we'll put it that way. Who quits judo? I did.
Exactly. Definitely not me. Yeah.
Sorry, just as a little comment.
Yeah.
And then I gained a lot of weight because I was still eating a lot while not training at all. And I just didn't understand that wasn't a thing that you can do.
Yeah.
So, and then my mom was like, okay, you need to calm down.
Okay.
And I started MMA as well.
You start looking for places to train, like, and by then, have you had any clue, or have you heard of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at that time, like when you quit, or you were just like looking for another sport in general?
I had heard of Jiu-Jitsu. My mom actually went to a few classes, but like I just didn't really realize what it was properly. I was like, oh, it's like weird groundwork, and I didn't like groundwork in judo. I hated the niwaza. I hated it. So I was like, oh, I don't like niwaza. Like that's how I'd always lose in competition. But like that was the main way I'd lose. It wasn't so much by ippon. It was usually just like getting submitted, which is hilarious now. Who knew that if you just learned how to do it, that would help.
Interesting.
Anyway,
and then it took you a year. How long it took you until like you went into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu then?
I started at 19.
Break, a year or more.
I quit judo until I was like 18, I think. No, 17. I went back training. So
that's 2 years break.
Yeah, I went back training, and I was like, oh, this is fun, you know, like cool. I was doing it, and but I wanted more, and there's a lot of restrictions in judo. Obviously, like you can't grab the legs. There's like certain grips you're not allowed to take, and it was just getting a little bit more and more restricted. I just wanted something a bit new, but along the same lines. And then I saw that a friend from school who was in my brother's year in school called Brett, he was doing MMA, and he used to do judo with me as well. And I was like, oh, MMA, like I want to be a cage fighter. And I saw Ronda Rousey and things like that. And I was like, oh, judo, cage fighting, they obviously go well. So I started that, and when I started MMA, my coach was like, you have to do groundwork, you have to learn jiu-jitsu to do MMA and to compete. So I was like, oh, I'll learn this weird groundwork then. That's how I kind of got into it.
Oh, so basically your aim was MMA?
Mm. Yeah, I had a few fights.
Seriously, like as an amateur, so you fought a couple of times in MMA?
Yeah, I had 3 amateur fights and 1 pro. So I have
Awesome.
pro records.
Okay, and how did that went?
Yeah, I won them. So, yay.
Awesome, interesting.
But
There
I
you
don't
go.
know how, considering I have
Okay.
no skill.
Okay. So probably at that time you just finished them probably by striking and not by groundwork, or?
Oh God, no. No, I groundwork. It was
Oh,
I
okay.
pro them, and then I
Basically.
do like I learned an Americano, and I was like, oh, this is my only move.
Okay. So you, how long you trained MMA until you get into BJJ like officially?
Officially, I don't know. Like from the get-go, I was doing jiu-jitsu, but it was all like no-gi. So
Oh, okay.
and then I went like fully into jiu-jitsu and kind of like moved away from MMA when I was a purple belt, or just about to get my purple belt. And I moved to a different city in Wales. So I was well, if you can call them cities, really. But I was in this town called Swansea, and I moved like an hour away to Cardiff.
Okay.
And there wasn't that much MMA in Cardiff, so I just started doing jiu-jitsu full time, and I really was preferring the jiu-jitsu. I do striking classes, and I'd wish that it was the jiu-jitsu because I was just so obsessed with it. It was like, this is judo, and all the things that I like about judo, only I can do whatever I want. So what, I can just do whatever I want. And like, I know people are like, oh, I don't like these rules in jiu-jitsu or whatever. I'm like, you don't understand how little restrictions there are. It's like literally just like no punching. And I know there's certain rules, but yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
how
was
long
obsessed.
you in each belt in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu then? So you started when you were 18, 17.
I started MMA and jiu-jitsu when I was 19.
Okay.
And
Oh,
was I 18? No, I was 19. No, I'm 19. And each belt, I don't know, for my white belt, I was only white belt for about 5 or 6 months because of the judo background, and also I wanted to
understandable.
compete. I wanted to compete, and you're not allowed to compete at white belt.
Exactly, yes.
So I wanted to compete. He was like, well, you're skillfully probably not a blue belt, but you can do the blue belt division. And I was like, okay, fair enough. And I definitely, when I first got my blue belt, I didn't have the knowledge at all, but I was kind of like physical, and I had the judo background, so it did carry me a long way and definitely helped a lot. But like, I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay. Technically, you mean, so the problem was technically that at that time in your blue belt time, that technically the terminology probably like de la riva, reverse de la riva, all those didn't make sense to you at that time, I believe. Is that what you meant? Right?
Yeah,
it's like,
just didn't know what was going on really, but really liked it.
Okay. And then how long you stayed in your blue belt until you were purple?
Year and a half. I don't know. Year and a half, maybe 2 years. 2 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then purple, then like a year or two in purple, or maybe like
I know I've been doing it for 6 years, but I don't know what each belt.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. No, see, the thing is that because this is my next question, is that I'm watching your fights and you are unanticipated. I can't anticipate your game. It's like, even though that I did read that you have a judo background, and there's a quite number of games that you did start in stand-up position where you're really eager to score your takedown, and you don't want to go on the ground. Like so stubborn. But in the same time, there's a quite number of other games that you just touch hands and you pull guard immediately and you went for berimbolo. So that was really very, very, like, I would say surprising, because if you look at the male and most of the other fighters, like, if they are good in their stand-up game and their takedowns, they really want to play it, even though that you might see them that sometimes, but they will start trying to take the takedowns, but probably after a few minutes, they didn't get what they want, then probably they might pull guard. But for
Yeah.
you, it's either you start with your takedowns or you start with your pull guard. That's it. So you quite like from the first second, the very amusing about your games that would keep watching it is there isn't much of like drama around the game. You just start going into the game immediately. Touch hand, bump fist, and there you go. It's action, 10 minutes of action, which really I would like to really advise all the audience now to really go and watch all your fights. They're really all entertaining from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu point of view, and even if you don't know from grappling point of view, it's still really amazing to watch you. So yeah, going back to the main question, it's really interesting. Do you have a game plan, especially how did you make both stand-up game and guard game equally good and you have the same confidence, and why some games you go with that mentality of it's a takedown, you know what, I don't care, and some others you just basically change everything and you pull guard?
Oh, that's great. Thank you. That has been my goal, to kind of be unpredictable, basically.
Yeah, you are.
Because I was starting to get kind of pigeonholed as like, oh, judo just wants to pass a guard. During like, I could tell that like was happening, where people were finding ways to kind of prevent that, and they'd like figure out positions that I was struggling with, and they'd get to those positions a lot. And I was like, I want to be as unpredictable as possible. I don't want it to be easy for people to study me. And like, obviously there's things I love to do, and like, but like as soon as I'll try, and I want my game to be as rounded as I can without like, not to be jack of all trades, but I want to like, I like that thing of being like, okay, I'm not very good at this position. I want to try and get good at this position now, and to really up it. And that was with my guard, especially, that I did really struggle with playing guard for a long time because of my judo background. I was just like always on top, and like in the gym when I drove mainly bigger guys. So it was like, I want to be on top because I don't want to be crushed underneath. This doesn't make sense to me. But then I started seeing it as a challenge to get good at guard, and things I struggled with so much were like the Barambola, for example. Like I was like, I'll never be able to do this. And I was like, no, I want to be good at that because it's so outside of my comfort zone that's like a huge challenge to me now. So I wanted to get good at that because I found it so difficult. And I like sort of thinking of it as like the next season, like bringing a new package to the season. It's so silly, but like for Europeans, my goal this year, before all this happened, was to pull guard in every match in my division, but in the absolute try and stay on top because they would probably be bigger. But like we would double pull, and then it wouldn't make sense to stay on bottom for me because I didn't want to give up that advantage. And I was like, it's okay because I'm confident in my passing, so I can get up and pass. Even though my original plan was to play guard, it felt good to have a game where I was confident in a lot of areas. And I think that's the goal, is just keep branching out and making sure I'm comfortable in areas where I currently struggle, and hopefully make everywhere a place where I'm confident to be eventually. That'll be hard, but yeah.
Yeah, that's really, we can tell this, but so that's mean it's not, it's more like you're trying to show off that you are very well rounded, that no one can predict what you can do. You basically, so it's not, because I was thinking maybe it was like a game plan, and I do believe maybe that's to some extent. But if you are saying like some competition you are planning to just go and execute them fully by pull guard, it's just to show your skills in that area more or less.
Yeah, I don't want to become a person who's like, oh, this person does this, so I'm going to do this. Because I don't want to be in a position where I've planned for something and jiu-jitsu is so unpredictable. You just never know. And they're studying, they're developing all the time. I just want to make sure I'm focusing on my game and what I've been working on. And that way, if I don't win the tournament and it doesn't go the way I want it to go, I can still take away a lot of positives from that, where I've been working on something for a while and I execute it. And it's like, okay, I lost and I made these mistakes, but I worked on a big part of my game that I was struggling with. So yeah, like I may not win all the time, but my main goal is to be as exciting as possible, to be unpredictable, to have a fun game where it's like, oh, this is new, she's doing this is developing. And like at the end of the day, I am always trying to win the match. I'm not just trying to do like random new stuff all the time, but and I will revert to things that I'm more comfortable with if I can, but I just want to be in a position that if the match goes completely weird and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't predict this at all, I want to just be able to switch my game up mid-match if I have to.
Okay. Yeah, quite well. Yeah, well, yeah, your game is very entertaining. Again, I'm gonna say this one more time. So then let me ask you this question. Like, what do you think? Like, was there any? Because this will lead to another question. We've been asking previously all the other people that we interviewed is that some gyms doesn't have world-class champions.
Yeah.
But then it's quite rare to see people coming out of those dojos, those gyms, those big academies that you train with big names all the time. But then like all of a sudden, I don't want to say, but your gym, like, is there like really top, like too many, not only top world class coach and champions as well, but was there good enough partners to make you who you are now? Or was it only you doing your hard training? Because I just want to tell the gyms that they don't have world class, always champions, 20 of them, or even someone who is at the same weight as you are, so they complain, oh, he's world class, but he's too heavy for me, so I don't benefit from him. What's your experience in this area?
So the way I see it, and this has changed a lot. I used to think, like, especially when I was in Wales, I was like, I need to go to like America and train with all these people, and how am I going to do this? And but now it's definitely changed, and it's like you can either have that attitude where it's like, oh, like I can't do it here, I have to go somewhere like Atos, Stream, like, and obviously these are amazing gyms out there, and there's no disputing that, like the proof is in the pudding, Dream. But I think it's like flipping that mindset on its head and being like, I can do it without that, I just need to study harder, I need to work harder. And working harder doesn't always necessarily mean just like killing myself in the gym. It can just mean I need to make sure that I'm actually studying up on jiu-jitsu, that I'm trying to fully understand techniques. And I moved to Ireland because that, to an extent, I think you do need to go somewhere that's going to really push you, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a huge gym. Like Dara's gym isn't a huge gym, but it's a very high level gym. And especially in Europe, I think too. And no, it doesn't have a ton of world champions there, but it's got a lot of high level guys who are constantly competing at that high level and are trying to achieve the same thing that I'm trying to achieve. And being surrounded by people who are motivated and are pushing you to be better is the main thing. And do they have all the accolades of some gyms in the US? No, but we're getting there. And we've got guys who like one of the guys that he's in a gym in England, but he's under Dara too. He won Nogi Worlds and he beat Andy Murasaki, who's an Atos high level guy, majorly hyped by Flow. These people are beating these people, but you just maybe just don't get the hype, you know. And we've got guys who are podiuming at like PANs and Nogi Worlds and things, at brown belt. So we do have people coming through and doing well. And yeah, like they may not get the credit because they're not doing like fancy shows or anything, but like they're definitely top level guys and they're around my size, and that is a huge benefit. But I don't think anyone should be discouraged by not having like a ton of training partners. I went to Espen and Tommy's gym in Norway, and they just train together, and everyone else like is good, but like they're not, it's not Atos, and they make the best of their training. It's because they're working hard and they're studying hard, and they're not taking those excuses and making them real reasons why they can't do it. They're just going, I can still do it, I can adapt, I have to make these adjustments, in some ways I have to work harder, but it's okay. Dream, it's a good thing, and it pushes you better. If I had a room with people who were just killing me all the time, which I actually kind of do, but if I had a room where it was like, oh, I can rely on every round being super tough, I mean, maybe I wouldn't work as hard on studying jiu-jitsu or getting as enthusiastic about learning. You know, maybe you get more complacent, you don't know. So
okay. So how many gyms you changed during your journey in BJJ? Because you said, like you mentioned, you moved to Ireland to train under, because there's one of the question, like, how did you end up training under Dara? So you changed gyms, that's mean, right? So how did that happen? And what was it like for the purpose of like training harder? Was that the purpose at that time?
So I changed gyms mainly because me and my ex-boyfriend broke up. And we were under Dara as a gym, like his gym is under Dara, but it's just an affiliate in Wales, if this makes sense. I hope this makes sense.
Okay.
So when we broke up, I was like, oh, I go out and train with Dara every few months anyway. And I really enjoyed the training there, and the training's very good. And they all go to Worlds, Europeans, Pans, they go to all the tournaments, and that's what I wanted to do. And I wasn't doing that at the time so much. And I just wanted to be able to get to as many competitions as possible to test myself, because I think competing often against people of like that level was going to really push me on. So I moved to Ireland, and it was only going to be for a few months until I just figured out what I was going to do or whatever. And I loved it, and I just decided to stay. So
Okay.
it was kind of like, I was already getting coached by Dara at the major events anyway, because I'd go with him and the team. But like I was in a smaller affiliate in a different country, if this makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I made the
Yeah.
move.
Okay. One more question then. What do you think? How did your coaching or made you a world class? Like, I do know that probably you are very eager and really not gonna quit very easily. But was there any special ingredient that the coach was there to go and spice up your talent to make you who you are now?
Spice. Yeah, I think Dara's had a huge effect on my jiu-jitsu, and not just in terms of technique. I think just being around people who are as enthusiastic about learning and like developing stuff is obviously really fun and beneficial, and having the same goals obviously helps. But like having someone there to kind of guide you is really helpful, and having someone there at tournaments was huge. Just having someone there to coach me, because I went to a lot of majors and didn't have a coach, and it's not 100% necessary, but it just makes everything. I think the best thing having a coach and a team, like a full team, like who go to tournaments with you, the best thing about that is less so about the technical coaching and more about making the experience really positive and happy, and just that sounds really cheesy, but like just having
No,
people
but that
who are
makes sense.
rooting for you and they want you to do well as much as they want themselves to do well is really positive. And even if I lose, like it's still a great experience and it's really fun, and that's what it should be. It should be enjoyable. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, that was the other question was like, are you planning to move to the US? And probably we've got the answer. It's not necessary actually. So we
I don't know. I don't want to live in the US.
no,
No
so you're
offense,
not doing
but no. I love
yeah.
Ireland. And someone asked there, I think, yeah, I want to live there forever. So
Okay. But then let's put it this way as well. Like, apparently you started in MMA, and I wanted to prepare, like, do you have any plans since you are young? I thought like probably you might cross to MMA, but I thought like, no, that's cheesy. Like, now don't ask this question. But you seems like you had MMA experience previously. Would you by any chance maybe thinking to go back to MMA by any sort of life coming future thing?
I get asked this, and my answer changes every time.
Okay.
But right now, yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I'd definitely consider it. I'd never say never, but like I might. But right now, I've got so many things I need to achieve in jiu-jitsu that I'll give that a go first, and then.
Understood.
But I would love to, and I'd have to learn so much in terms of striking, wrestling, and all those things. So I don't know. And the thing with the jiu-jitsu background, it could like push you too far forward above your skill level, you know, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, it's just weird the way, I guess, matchmaking could be in MMA. So like, I don't know how, like, you have to take into account my jiu-jitsu, but I can't punch. So, and I've also got a pro record now. So it's kind of like, I'd have to be pro, which is.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, killed.
Yeah.
Like my striking is this. But no, like I love the thought of like new challenges and stuff. So, but I'm still not good enough jiu-jitsu, so I need to get better.
Yeah, so probably let's put it this way, that you have a few goals that you want to achieve in your Brazilian jiu-jitsu career, and probably then after that. So the door is not closed at the MMA probably, and that's very.
The door isn't closed, but it's kind of like jiu-jitsu is my husband, and we're married. I'm committed, but like maybe MMA is my side bay. I don't know.
Okay.
you know, like
Let's
respect.
see. Yeah.
Not that I'm promoting having an affair.
No.
Just
Based
saying.
on your knuckles that you just showed me now, probably it's better safe to say, like you showed me this knuckle stand up, and the problem stay with the jiu-jitsu for now. It's like so yeah. Asking you actually one of the other question is that since we are like a competition platform, we would like always to take an opinion. Like what's your best, what you are expecting to have in competition organizations? Like what makes it stand up for you? What does a competition platform quality makes sense to you? What things that you're looking for in a competition platform?
Just good organization, just not having to worry about what's going around me, just making sure like each step is clear, if that makes sense. I guess that's my main priority, is just like not being freaked out because I don't really know what's going on and feeling a bit lost, I guess.
Okay.
And I like having the board there that I can check my matches and see when I'm on next, things like that, like are not majorly important to me. And I guess who's entered is like, that's a big thing to me too. Probably the biggest thing is like, if there's someone in there who's terrifying, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's fight this person. I mean, not that, I mean, most people are pretty scary now at black belt, but you know, if there's someone super amazing in there, like I want to get in and fight. So I don't know. I have low expectations. I don't know.
Okay. No, what you're trying to say is that as long as it's a clear steps that you know where's your weight in, when is my match, I step in, and that's it. That's what makes it
just stress free, you know, like stress free as it can be. Yeah.
Possible. Exactly. Then who's your favorite female and male BJJ athletes? Who's your idol? Whom you used to look up and watch their fights, especially when you start getting into BJJ? Let's talk about the female. Who's the female one?
Oh, I have so many idols.
Oh.
It's so weird that I fight them now. I'm like, I love you, but let's go. My biggest female idol has to be Louisa Montero.
Okay.
And the reason for this is actually, there is a story. It's not only did I watch her on the way up, there's lots of girls that I watched. In fact, most girls that I fight now, I watch and love their jiu-jitsu. But for me, Louisa stood out because I fought her in my first black belt Europeans in the absolute, and she murdered me very quickly. I was like, whoa. And she was super nice afterwards. Just the way she was towards me, it was like very genuine, very kind. And she sent me a message, like a really encouraging message to like keep going, make sure you like compete in absolutes and get that experience. That's the only difference. You just need the experience. And so she encouraged me to like fight as much as possible and to do absolutes. So I'm taking that advice on, and I took that advice on at this year's Europeans, and it paid off. So, and that's kind of like the kind of champion I'd like to be, is the kind of champion that is encouraging to the new girls coming through, rather than seeing them as like enemies. And like,
exactly,
there's a competitive nature that of course we have to be competitive, and I want to win, but I don't want to be the person who's like, you know, like the Wicked Witch who's like, oh, I hate the young girls coming through. Exactly. But like she was so kind, and I want to be that person for the people who come through next, Dream, so that you can pass the torch. That sounds so cheesy, but like I really feel like Louisa was that kind of champion, and that's what I want to be like. So she's my female idol, and of course the jiu-jitsu is amazing, so there's that too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And for male idols, Rodolfo Vieira is my favorite. Okay. He got me into jiu-jitsu. Like I used to watch his videos all the time, his highlights all the time, his passing. I love his passing, and passing was my first jiu-jitsu love. So yeah, I love his jiu-jitsu, and Marcelo Garcia, of course, because he's smiley and lovely. But those are like the ones that are standing at my head now, but there's so many people I love, and I could go on all day. But there's the main.
But tell me also as well, like you seems you are into gi, like people who starts in judo and probably they love gi game, and I'm quite shocked when you also won no gi easily somehow. But how did that happen, like the transition? Because if you are really used to having grips in the gi, it's quite not easy to move, because we've seen now like champions who are champions in no gi, and they don't step in the gi world at all. They only talk, but we've never seen them in the gi, and I don't think we will see them ever. But the gi people are stepping into the no gi easily, and they are winning, and that's a fact. It's not an illusion or assumption. And there you go, you are one of those. So how did that transition happen? How many actually times you train in gi and in no gi? What's your ratio between your training gi and no gi to make it easy for you to transition to no gi?
So the way my gym is that it's mainly gi, and I do prefer the gi. I go through phases, but most of the time I prefer the gi. But I like no gi too, and I wouldn't want to not do one or the other, if that makes sense. But yeah, there's only one no gi class a week usually. But what Dara will do in the day training, so like we have like pro training at 12 in the day, and if there's like no gi wheels coming up, we'll all train for that. When I had ADCC, we all trained in the no gi for that together, you know, so like whatever the major event is, we'll all kind of train together for that event. So if it's a gi event, we'll all wear gi in the day. If it's no gi, we'll wear no gi, if that makes sense. And then like when I had ADCC, like in the evening, I could train no gi with people like in the corner on my own and do my own thing kind of thing. So it kind of worked like that. But my game, gi and no-gi, I never feel like, oh my God, suddenly lost when I go to no-gi, because I don't feel like unless it's guard, maybe it's a little bit weirder, but I try not to play a hugely grip reliant game. That's just kind of personal preference. It's just the way my game has kind of happened out, especially passing, I think. I don't really take tons of grip. Like I will use the grips, but I don't feel like I don't use many lapels and stuff. Not that I love lapels, but I don't tend to kind of go towards that kind of style of game. So like, I feel like I can transition both ways kind of okay. Obviously I'd like to train lots of no-gi first before I go to a no-gi event, just so I feel a bit more comfortable. But yeah, like, I don't feel like I've got a hugely different game in either. Whereas I think if you play Spider Guard in the gi and then you try and go to no-gi, might be a bit more overwhelming, whereas like that's not how my game really is for the most part anyway. So I think that's why it's okay. It's an okay transition.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, one of the last questions is, what's your message? So here, like Asia have much less BJJ girls community, and it doesn't sound like you have so many partners, girls in your current gym, does it? Do you have so many girls in your...
Actually do now, yeah. I didn't used to, but I didn't used to. I think that's a good point. I do have quite a lot of girls now, and they're great. So I am very
Okay. So in here in Asia, probably we don't have that much still like base. So what's your message to them, especially you're coming from a background that you had that experience, not much of girl. So what's your advice to them, especially, and if I believe like if you also want to categorize between they are coming to enjoy the training, it's a hobby, they don't want to go into competition level. If they are going to a competition level.
Okay, so if they are going to competition.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. So my advice would be being a small or not a small female is a benefit, because if you pull off a move, you know it works. Okay, like and like try not to take the like it is an excuse. Like it is a disadvantage in some ways, but there's a lot of advantages to it as well. You know, like you can progress your jiu-jitsu faster because you have to be more technical. You can use your body in a different way that can be a different style to your partners, and most of them will have a similar style. If you let it become an excuse, even if it is a viable excuse, it is, but you can't let it become that excuse in your head. If you keep saying, oh, they're too big, they're too strong, it's the same kind of thing as like with the gym situation. If you're telling yourself you can't achieve it, like, then you won't. You mean, like, if you have that negative mindset going into something, you're already beating yourself. So like, you can't let that get into your head. I know that when I let it get into my head, I'm like, oh, he's too big, like that's why I can't pull off that move. It's like, well, if I could do the move better, then that wouldn't be a problem. Do you mean? So I think that if you have to just let that go, even if it's the truth, you just have to figure out a way of working around it. Having a positive attitude towards it is going to be better than being like, nah, can't do it, and then just shutting yourself off straight away. Whereas if you try, and like, that's how I like kind of developed getting decent passing was just like trying to pass the guards of big guys, and like having those reactions and getting used to that reactions. And that's how I learned how to catch my weight and where to put my weight, so that when I'd go with people my size, it was like I know exactly where to put myself, and it'd work better against those people because they were my size. But like I practiced getting that sort of balance and ability against bigger people, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. And like it's like, okay, like if they are huge and they submit me with something ridiculous, like from bottom side control, like I know that some of my size wouldn't do it, but I don't need to be like, oh no, like make a big thing out of it. Just kind of like let it go, because that's your ego then kicking in too. It's like just get so good that doesn't happen. Just just have your goal to be so good that people don't submit you from bottom side control anymore. That's my goal.
Yeah. No, yeah. Then see, let me tell you, because I believe they still push you. It depends on who's your training partner. If it's someone who's like really trying to hurt you, and if someone is trying to play with you to teach you something. So probably you might end up at the end of the day, yes, he's heavier and bigger, but that might push you at the end of the day to learn how to protect yourself more and crunch and be like a ball that no one can like open you. And probably when you are a smaller size, you can protect yourself. You find a way to protect yourself, at least not for them to submit you. I've seen you like, because I could expect that you've been in this experience and you developed something out of it. You don't stop moving all your fights, even though that like you're one of those that the 10 minutes, you beat up some people just because you have so much heart. Like you keep moving that they get frustrated out of your moves. It's like you just non-stop moving. And this will never be evolved probably if you were not put into positions that people were pushing you that hard to some extent that it was so frustrating for you until you came up with, you know what, I'm gonna irritate you. Like you want to submit me, I don't really care, but I'm gonna make it hell for you until you get that. So if you develop that mentality in your gym, probably that paid off for you in the competitions where probably a little bit more skillful, but then because you kept moving, they got frustrated and they let go of their superior position. So does that make sense to you to some extent?
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. Like obviously if they're trying to hurt you, different scenario. But like you said, if they're just bigger, that's an opportunity. And I'd just like to address a comment here. Protect from what? A heavyweight will never lose to a lightweight. Incorrect, sir. Go watch my absolute final at the Europeans, because I was a lightweight and she was a heavyweight and I beat her. So
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, you did absolutely well and you kept moving. So yeah, what's your motivation actually? One of the what's in your mind when you are in a bad position and yet you kept moving until you get out of that bad position? Like what's going on in your mind?
I don't know. I don't want to lose because I didn't give it my all.
Okay.
That would make me really uncomfortable. If I lose because I'm not as good as someone, I'm kind of like, that's okay because I can work on that. But if I lose because, or like there's not much I can do about that. Like I can go back to the gym, I can study, I can get better. That's easy to correct. I can look and see, oh, well, I put my grip here or whatever. I can figure that out. But if I gave up in the match because like I was in a triangle, which happens a lot, I get put into a lot of triangles.
Yeah, I've seen that, right?
I enjoy it, but I don't really enjoy it. But yeah, that happens a lot. It's like
and it was a tight triangle. Quite of them, I've seen them. It was tight, and I was surprised how you pulled that off and you just get out. And in some of them, it was pure muscling up until you get your knee behind the butt and start pushing, but that took a while. Sometimes you cross your leg over. So you did quite some work before you get there, but then that was at the beginning, at the first few seconds, it was pure heart that I'm not gonna tap, you know what? So wasn't it?
Yeah, like there's to a point where it's like, well, I can't decide I'm gonna tap because I've passed out and here I am shuddering on the floor. But yeah, like it wasn't like fully on. It was really uncomfortable, but it wasn't strangling me, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I knew it wouldn't go out, but it was just very uncomfortable. But yeah, like it was like, I know that if I tap here, it's like I'm tapping because it's painful. It's not because it's on properly, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think that would make me uncomfortable if I've been in matches where, especially earlier on at the lower belts, where I've quit and I'd feel like I'll tap early, or like, I'm not saying don't let things on and then let things snap. I don't mean it like that at all. And I wouldn't, because I want to go back and train. But I mean, if it's a situation I know I can fight out of, I'll keep going. If it's a situation where if I do not tap, I will break something, I will tap, because I don't want to break something. I want to go and train and make sure I don't get put in the submission again. But yeah, like if it's a situation where I'm just like, oh, like I'm down on points and like I don't want to keep fighting to get those points back. You mean like just to start to get in my own head, that would make me feel uncomfortable to come off the mat and have to like look myself in the eye and be like, I quit. Whereas a technical problem is like, well, need to work on defending footlocks.
Yeah.
Doing something like that, that's fine. I can work on that easy, whatever. Dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. One last question. People are asking we received quite a number of messages. You have quite a base fan of female, probably, and male, we don't know, but female definitely. They kept messaging us asking for seminars. So is there any plans, but like no, you can't plan leaving your house now, but once you can leave your house, are you planning to go anywhere nearby the Southeast Asia?
Yes, I want to go there so much. You don't understand. Okay. I have a camp in Siagara. Am I saying that right? It's near the Philippines. Very near.
Okay.
I can't say the word.
When is it scheduled?
Siagara. It's called Roll Chasers, the camp. Very excited for that. I think it's on as of now. I'm hoping if everything starts to loosen up over time, it'll all be okay. We can't tell at the moment. But no matter how long it is, I want to go there. I want to go back to Australia as well, and all over that side of the world. I want to go so much. I want to go to Asia. I'd love to. Yeah, someone's correct saying the word Siargao. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Exactly, and Malaysia. Yeah, Seoul. All these names. I want to go there too. Love to. So I'd definitely like to go over that part of the world for a period of time and just train, teach. Yeah, would love to. So.
Awesome. so we stay in touch. Let's see if we can like organize a seminar for you when you come over by. So yeah, I guess that's it. We took like an extra 15 minutes of your time. We would like to thank you for your really good time. I would one more time encourage everyone to go watch your fights. Absolutely entertaining. 10 minutes of action. The girl doesn't sit on the mat. She's really looking like Ffion, really looking into action, and she kept moving. She quite have a very big heart to the sport and quite very movable. Thank you very much for like accepting our invitation and being on our platform, and hopefully we see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know how to do this. Like this?